All right, good morning. Can everybody hear me through my mask? Yeah, perfect. Hello, and thank you all for coming to the Basic Income Conference here at Halifax Central Library. I'm your library host for today, Elliot Gish, and there's our AV Tech host over in the corner there, Owen, who is just working some beautiful magic in the corner over there today. It's so wonderful to see so many people here for this very important subject. I hope that you all have a wonderful day here at the conference. So we begin this conference on basic income by acknowledging that we are meeting in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, who have inhabited this land we call Halifax from the beginning. We're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank the many generations of Mi'kmaq who have been and continue to be stewards of this land. We also recognize the profound contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis in shaping our country as a whole. Our recognition of the contributions and importance of Indigenous peoples must be clearly and overtly connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities, including bringing justice for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and victims of residential schools. We are all treaty people. Further, we recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. As we engage in dialogue today about basic income in Canada, it is also our responsibility to ask, what does it mean to be a Canadian who steps beyond this land acknowledgement to stand in solidarity with Indigenous and African Nova Scotian communities? Also got a few housekeeping items before we get started. The exits from Paula Reagan Hall are directly behind you, where there's that opening in the wall. And there's washrooms through that opening to the right, including a gender-neutral washroom. Just look for the orange on the wall. It's pretty easy to find. If you need to leave the hall at any point, you can do so from the opening at the back. And snacks and drinks are, of course, welcome in the program, and we have some over in the corner. And we'll be serving a light lunch at around 12:15. There's going to be Q&As after some of our speakers here today, so please save your questions until the end of each session. And that is all from me, so I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Mandy K. Rainingbird, our Master of Ceremonies for the day. Please give her a hand.
Good morning. I can't talk, just aspirated on my coffee. Sorry about that. Okay, this works to forward. Yes. I'm really excited to gather together to talk about Basic Income Day today. I really appreciate all of you coming, and hopefully more and more people will be coming in as we go along. We have 2 in-person sites here and in Sydney, and we also have people online. So hopefully this will have a large impact. I'm very excited to have a number of people here today to give opening remarks. And I'm just going to ask them to come up in the order that I have them here. Jeff Ward is in Sydney, and he works at the Membertou Heritage Park. So if we could have opening remarks first from Jeff Ward.
Are we ready? Koe, good morning. Nin Eloise na makunago se. Nin delewin medbenagya. Dan wigi mabatu. Walali od ambegisina wali giskuk. In my language, I just said hi. Bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue. Come to how? How's she going? Who's your father? Bye. It's a true honor to be here today and to share a few words. And I did bring my drum, and actually I had all prepared a land acknowledgement. And I thought I was doing the land acknowledgement, but I thank you for that beautiful land acknowledgement that was done earlier. However, with that, I do want to share a message, and it's very deeply rooted message. And we talk about this, and I'll say it in my language, and it goes like this: Gemmi dedamedich, Tandel Noltik. Nigamasto. Apmawi Donich. Emi data minutes, ta Wallabek Sol Dig. Nigamastut. Abunamawi Donich. Abunamawi Donich. Abunamawi Donich, Tan Gisu. Delhi Igal sit, look, sit. Ula sit amu. Now, in my language, to translate what I just said, and it's very important, these are very strong, it's a very strong message. It says, when I said, Gemmi data minute, Daniel Nolti, let us respect our humanness, who we are as humans. No matter what nation you come from, or what color you claim to be, or what colors cast upon you. You know, because I'm very cautious about that. And I do a medicine wheel teaching, and I don't refer to the color of man. That's important. Because people say, oh, there's the 4 colors of man. And I say, oh, I wouldn't say that. People go, why? Because you just upset all the women. Half the population's mad at you now. Also, maybe you come from many nations. So where do you stand in that medicine wheel? See, to me, medicine wheel is about elements. We need medicine. And when you look at those element colors, when that sun rises, it's yellow, represents the fire. See, we cannot exist without 4 elements. We need fire, water, earth, air. You take one away, we can't exist. We do not exist. And you can't own an element, Nestle. I'm telling you right now. You can't own water. You can't. Because it's an element. And it belongs to the world. It belongs to the people. It's medicine. So when the sun rises, it's yellow. Then we got to remember that sacred water that we were born in. Our mother carries us in that sacred water, that 9 months that we were carried. And we know love. We know love. We feel love. And that first sound we heard, our mother's heartbeat. It takes us to a beautiful time. And I call that the Big Bang Theory, because that's the first time you heard a heartbeat. And you're like, whoa, what's that? I remember hearing it again, going up Coxseat Trail, trying to catch up to my family. I was like, I'll catch up to you. Man, I was looking around, I was like, who's drumming up here? It was nobody drumming. That was my heartbeat. It's like, whoa. So I remember that. Then we look to the west, and the sun is setting, that beautiful red sky, but it also represents the red earth. Earth, red, Megway. You know, Migamawaj. We come from this earth, Migamawaj. People got to remember that. I am actually born and raised in Metamanagia, Red Banks. So I know what that means. We came from this earth, right here. And then we look north. We remember the air that we breathe. The closest that represents that is clouds, the white clouds. Top of the mountains, the snow. I love that snow. Wish it would snow more. Yeah, I said it. I want to plow, that's why. I love snow. But also that wisdom that we carry. Some people, we know where the wisdom is. We honor our elders. So those are the elements, and those are the colors of elements. So when I have a medicine wheel, those are the colors that I follow. And there's a very deep, true reason for that. Give me data minutes, Don Wegebek Salty, Don Wegebek Salty. Let's greatly respect our roots, where we come from. To know our ancestors, 7 generations. You know, when we make decisions today, we still got to think 7 generations ahead. When I make a decision, it's for Elijah, my grandson. See how my kids are good? My grandson and Elijah's kids, and his kids, and his kids, and his kids. So we got to think of that. And I also give thanks to the teachings from my Uncle George, but all my uncles and aunts, you know, and my grandparents, and their grandparents, and my great-grandparents. So when you pull all of that knowledge, and you think about all forward ahead, it's not just a cliche, it's a way of life. It's not fancy words, it's the way we have to live today. It's very important. Nigamasto, abunna mawi dande, abunna mawi danech. As we come together, let us help one another. Nigamasto, like help one another. You know, we said migamawaj, migama, nogama. You know, as our people come together, like let us help one another. That's why we're here. Bunamawi danesh agisuk del igas luksi hula sit amu. Would sit amu, break that down slower. Let us help one another according to the Creator's intentions for placing us here on Mother Earth. That's why we're living this human experience. We're all spirits, we're all energy, and we're living a human experience, but we're here to help one another. So therefore, policies like this help one another. They provide for one another. That's why it's so important. We have to go back to our original teachings. We got to recognize our creation stories. Honor our creation stories. Honor our traditions of taking care of one another, helping one another. When we talk about basic income, it's not giving somebody a free ride. What we're providing is a level playing field. You know, there's countries around the world, I studied this. Yes, I studied at CBU. CBU in the house. Yeah, yes, alumni. Sorry, Dal. Sorry, Halifax. My wife went to SMU. my wife went to Dal too. So go Tigers, go Huskies. And all my kids and my wife, they're all social. My 2 kids got their masters in sociology. My wife got her social work degree. But there's some countries that no matter where you live, I mean, no matter what your income is, and even the lower income, a part of the program is not only do we have basic income for everybody, they also send everybody on a vacation. On a vacation. I didn't see that. So everybody goes on a vacation. And they found, because we did a study here, CBU, if we sent everybody in, God love our team, it wasn't as extravagant and it didn't, but I'm sure they learned from it. But what they learned was, in the study, they learned that when they send people on a vacation, people tended to further their education. They found that higher job, income, whatever it may be, and they worked harder. So I know people will argue the other way, but the facts are out there that when we help people and we provide basic income, And, you know, we looked at that, you know, I don't want to get political, because I know we got some great speakers here, but I'm hoping, and I'm so amazed with the dental, universal dental. We should have universal dental all the way through, you know, and we have universal health care because of the work of our ancestors. People coming together made things happen. And I'm not going to talk about teams or colors. Go orange. I could be talking about CBU. But the red team's good too. That's St. Thomas. I went there too. Or UNB. UNB is team red team. Because I know there's other speakers here too. But I just want to acknowledge that. So that's what I want to share with you. I did prepare to sing a song, but I think my words and my messages were more important. But I did share a song. I shared the Mi'kmaq Honor Song with you. And today I didn't sing it. Today I explained it. And I taught you the reason behind it. So when my Uncle George, when he was fasting on that mountain, and the spirits gave him that message, that's to help all of us. The Creator's there. Our ancestors are there. They're always there for you. Just got to ask for help. Just like today, we're asking for help. As many people as that are out there, ask for that help. Ask your members of parliament, your MLAs, ask your leaders, but ask one another. Help one another. It's not just part of a job. It's who we are as humans. It's why we're here on earth, to help one another. Walalin, walalio. I don't know how much time. Do I have time for a song? No?
Let me see what
Okay,
time it is.
I'm gonna-
I think
I'll share a
we
nice little
probably
song.
don't.
Not a long song. This one just, what I'm gonna do with this song, it's a song that we'd sing before gatherings, and we invite the good spirits in, and we push away any of the badness, negativeness, and allows us to come together, work together in a good way. Sometimes we do 4 honor beats for the 4 directions, but we also got to remember the other 3 directions, where we stand, Mother Earth, where our heart is, and Creator. Igo, igande, igo, igo, igande, igo, igo, igande, egando daya, ea, eo. Igo, ando daya, hey, hey, igo, igande, egando daya, ea, eo. Tahoe. Thank you. Walala. Have yourself a great day. Halifax, I'll see you all next week. I'm down there all next week.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeff. We really appreciate it. I have the honor now to introduce a number of other people who will be providing some opening remarks. So I want to call Mayor Mike Savage to the podium now. Many of you may know that Mayor Mike Savage was the first big city mayor to call for a basic income, but his support of a basic income goes farther back than that. So, Mike?
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Bonjour à tous. Waye, Jalazi. It's a pleasure to be here with so many of you today. Everybody here, I think, is distinguished. I will acknowledge my colleague, my friend, and the great champion of basic income, Waye Mason, who you'll also hear from. I also want to acknowledge Jessica from my office. Where's Jessica? She's right behind me. Oh, geez, no wonder I felt stressed. Jessica's does policy in the mayor's office. Believe it or not, there was no policy person in the mayor's office when I got elected. In fact, I don't think there was a policy person in the city. And now we have a number of people working on social policy, and Jess is one of the best. I want to thank Basic Income Nova Scotia for hosting this discussion today. And I also want to thank our wonderful library system and this beautiful building here. You know, when I was a kid, and I'm like 36 years old, but when I was a kid, I would go to the Dartmouth Library, which was our gathering place, and I got kicked out once for chewing gum in the library. And now look at this, you can walk around with your coffee and your muffin. You can go upstairs and have a coffee. Kids can make a video on one of the floors. Like, that's good, right? I mean, you want kids to read and to learn. Isn't it good that you don't put restraints on them, but you say, come and be a kid? Jessica's young guy is here. Marty is wandering around up there somewhere, and you're responsible for the damage he creates, not me. So it's awesome. I've got a number of numbers here, but I think we all know the sobering news on numbers. The housing crisis that we have, the number of people who are forced to sleep outside. There's currently 900 on a list of people that don't have a house, and there's more than that. 1 in 5 households can't access good, healthy food. We have the highest rates of food insecurity among Indigenous and Black households. Of course, the rising cost of food is a big issue as well. These are disturbing numbers. The bottom line for me is, you know, we have spent decades in Canada managing poverty, sort of stick handling around it, fixing it here, fixing it there, trying to do something here, trying to do something there. We've never actually tried to eradicate poverty in a serious way. I shouldn't say that. In some ways we have. In Canada, we have the guaranteed income, GIS, guaranteed income security, which is a good thing. And you know, the government has bought in child benefit. These are really important things, but we're just coming out of the biggest crisis of my lifetime, I think, in COVID. And we realized that if we're going to manage our way through something like that, we need to guarantee an income to people. That's what Canada did, was we guaranteed an income. And that's how we got through this difficult time. And now, when governments, except for municipal governments, unfortunately, governments have more money than they've had in a long time. This is the time now to say, let's take that model that worked during COVID and let's guarantee people an income so they have the basic things that they need. Instead of bits and pieces, let's guarantee people that they have the right to live, because the root cause of poverty, strangely enough, is lack of income. Now, I remember years ago when I was a member of parliament, and would have probably met Mandy back in those days, but I had this picture. I was trying to look for it. I wanted to put it up. I can't find it. It's a picture of me, Wayne McNaughton, and Sharon Murphy together. Now, you can hardly see Sharon in the picture, if any of you knew Sharon. Her head kind of poked between our hips. Sharon was about 4 foot 10 inches of pure dynamite, and just an amazing woman who passed away during COVID, and one of the most remarkable human beings that I've ever met. But this is what we know, that people who don't have the income that they need don't achieve the health outcomes, don't achieve the education outcomes, don't have the same opportunity as everybody else. If we believe that the right to dignity in itself is a human right, then the right to income needs to be a human right. And I know the challenges, and I know what it's like for municipal politicians to tell the feds what to do and how to do it and all that sort of stuff. I believe this for a long time. Had a great conversation this week with Mayor Marian Alto in Victoria, and the two of us on each coast are pushing to see if we can get resolutions through FCM calling for basic income. We did on a motion of Councillor Mason. We called on the federal government. I wrote a letter to was it July last year, Waye? I think it was July of last year we passed this motion, and I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister on behalf of Halifax Council. I write a lot of letters. I call them my love letters to nowhere. I get asked to write letters to the provincial and the federal government and all that sort of stuff. But I think if we can have a national consensus among municipal politicians that this really makes a difference, then I think that there's a chance that we can do something in this country. It's important. And I think if we really believe that poverty doesn't need to exist in a country like Canada, then we need to do something about it. We've been working this, and Mandy, you and folks here have been working on this for a long time. Sometimes you get a sense that the world isn't unfolding as we want it to, and you get a little discouraged, but events like today show us what can really happen. Here in Jubuktuk, in Nova Scotia, across the country. We just need to sort of realize that there is a single answer. No, I shouldn't say single answer, because we're still going to need things. You know, we still need to help, you know, folks get the education that they need, and we still need to make sure that people who have significant health issues that cause significant medical, not everybody will be equal. But the single biggest thing we can do on poverty is to say everybody should have a basic income. And once you get to that point, then we can figure the rest out, in my view. So let's stop managing poverty. Let's try to eliminate poverty in Canada. And I think this is the single best thing we can do. So congratulations to the organizers. Again, Mandy comes in to see me on a regular basis. We delight in those meetings, and to see so many people here today is a real blessing. So thank you all very much. Merci beaucoup, and Bulaliak.
Thank you, Mayor Savage. I'm really excited to see that resolution at FCM and to see it passed. I know with you and Marianne working on it, it's going to make it. So thank you. I'd like to invite Waye Mason to come up now. Waye Mason is a counselor here in Halifax and was one of the instrumental people in developing the case for basic income in municipalities and in writing and ensuring that the resolution was passed here in Halifax in support of a basic income. So Waye.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Before I got elected, I was an instructor at the community college. So, you know, old habits die hard. And so Mandy talked about things that I've been doing to support basic income, but really for the last year, my job has been to help connect Basic Income Nova Scotia and the coalition, the Basic Income Coalition Canada, to municipal organizations and other municipalities so that we can try and convince them to model the Halifax resolution that we passed and to also endorse basic income. What that sounds very fancy. What that really translates into on several occasions, driving Mandy to Lunenburg or Shediac or whatever, so that I could be, you know, like help support her in presenting, which we've done with pretty good success. But, you know, this morning I have to say, like, here we are again talking about this. I've been a believer in basic income since I was in university at Dalhousie, go Tigers, I guess, since the 1990s, right? And we're still talking about this, even though it's something that has been proven time and time again through the limited studies that have been done, the real world pilots that have been done, to be very effective. And when Mandy and I first met, I guess 8 or 9 years ago, the need for this was it wasn't theoretical. I wouldn't say that because I wouldn't give the dignity to the people who are struggling with income at that time. But the social crisis we're seeing now wasn't acute the way it is now, but it was predictable. We knew it was coming. You could see it coming like a freight train. You could see it coming like an accident in slow motion on the highway that you can't avoid. We knew that it was coming. And so now basic income is practical, it's urgent, and it's an immediate need. And so we're here because the current system, as Wayne said, I think at the first conference, I've come to all 5 of them and have been supporting it ever since. Wayne, you were quite clear, it doesn't work, right? You talked about how you had to get on old age security and CPP to get to a dignified level of income at that time. And it was heartbreaking to hear you speak. And what's different now, what's good now is, for example, like Mandy and I were plotting at a coffee shop just last week, is that in Prince Edward Island, all 3 of the parties running provincially have said in the election right now, of the parties that are viable and will probably get seats, that they support basic income. We have a province that wants to do basic income now, and we need federal support for that. So part of our objective is to provide Andy and Mike and all the other, many of the MPs in Nova Scotia in both parties think this is a good idea. We need to support them so they can go to Ottawa and convince the rest of the country to support Atlantic Canada in leading the way on this. So, you know, while it's, you know, frankly, I think you can hear it in my voice, it's frustrating to still be talking about this as a theoretical thing when people are hurting and we can see it in the streets every day. there's hope right now. There is hope. And so I want to thank Mandy especially, and Basic Income Nova Scotia and Basic Income Coalition Canada for their tireless work in keeping this at the forefront. And there's a lot of organization that goes on, a lot of meetings that I get invited to that I don't have time to go to as a councillor, a lot of Zoom calls that happen nationally, a lot of trying to twist the arms of municipal, provincial, and federal elected people and bureaucrats. And they're all at the heart of making sure that happens. So I guess I just want to close by saying, let's give another round of applause to all those people who are making it possible for us to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Waye. I wanted to also mention two other national organizations that are involved in the conference today. Basic Income Canada Network, and Sheila Reguer is going to be talking. She's the chair of that organization, and also Basic Income Canada Youth Network, and Chloe Halpany will be on one of the panels this afternoon, representing that organization. So there's a lot of people working for this. We got to get it done. I want to ask Andy Fillmore to come forward and give a few words. Andy and I and other members of Basic Income Nova Scotia have been meeting on a regular basis as well, and quite recently. Andy is a strong supporter of basic income and a supporter of the hand signing petitions to bring the issue of basic income to Parliament. And we have a petition over on the side there that can be signed in support of the PEI project. So I encourage everybody sitting in this room to do so. And Andy will be able to help us get it in front of Parliament.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back with you again. I'm not sure how many of these I've been to so far, but I think it's a great many. And as today I want to bring greetings, but I also want to deliver some content. And as I put my pad down on the table, it shut down. So I'm just going to grab my phone and I can read some things from the phone. It's extremely nice to be back in person, and I really was appreciative, as we all were, of the greeting from Membertou. That was wonderful. Thanks for that. And it's great to be back here on a beautiful snowy morning in Halifax. May it be the last of this year. I hope you agree with me on that one. Mayor and Waye, thank you very much. It's great to see you both here. Thank you for your leadership at FCM. Mike, I read your love letter to the federal government. It was very touching. Thank you for that. And I want to say thanks also to Mandy and her team for pulling this off every year. It really is having a significant impact. I can tell you that for my entire working life, in one way or another, I've been involved in the provision of housing and community building. And through all of that time, working with community groups. And since my election, I have had many meetings with proponents of guaranteed basic income. And I can see that many of them and many of you are in the room here today, and it's wonderful to be with you. My support is expressed by this banner. There is actually a little bit of funding that goes behind that. That's why it's there. It's not, I just want you to know that it's not just advertising. And you can see I'm really leaning into it. I'm leaning into guaranteed basic income here. So the conversations that I've been able to have really kind of rooted my belief that GBI is where we need to be heading, and it's really past time for the federal government to take a serious look at this to reduce poverty and support economic growth, and to ensure that every Canadian has their very basic needs met. Now, throughout my political career, I've done my best to help to strengthen this social safety net. I've supported the creation of the Canada Child Benefit, the Canada Workers Benefit, the Canada Disability Benefit, the increase to the, yes, thank you, the increase to the GIS for seniors. More recently, the creation of the National Dental Benefit that is gathering momentum and will grow even more. Then there is the kind of the whole buffet of COVID supports that helped so many of us through the pandemic. And I want to say that in operation behind all of that has been the federal government's $80 billion national housing strategy. Now, housing takes a long time to go from ideation to a bedroom and a kitchen, but we're starting to show real results from that program, including right here in Halifax, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about that. Now, you may have heard, as a way to make sure that everyone who deserves these benefits gets access to them, in the federal budget that was just announced on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we announced that we are going to start to do automatic tax filing for people in need. So this means we're joining UK, we're joining New Zealand. Experts and advocates alike have called for automatic tax filing because often the most vulnerable citizens among us, the most vulnerable Canadians, find that they're not having access to the benefits to which they're entitled because they haven't filed a tax return. So we're going to take care of that for you. These programs and our government's broader poverty reduction strategy have had a serious impact in Canadian communities and on lives. We have an estimated 1.3 million Canadians lifted out of poverty since 2015, between 2015 and 2019, in fact. So I've always said, and Mandy has perhaps grown tired of hearing me say this, why not corral all of these benefits with their individual departments and individual administrative requirements into a single GBI program? It's all there. I think all of the money is already there, and it would be so much more efficient, and it would impact individuals so much more powerfully. This is backed up by the fact that basic income continues to come up from the grassroots, like so many good ideas do, and I think it really is starting to get serious traction. I can speak for a moment about my own political party, the Liberal Party. In the last number of years, there has been a growing grassroots demand at our biennial policy conventions. This is ordinary Canadians from communities across the country coming out in support of a guaranteed basic income, and they're getting support in the government caucus from that as well. I'm sure many of you will know that a grassroots policy resolution at our most recent policy convention, overwhelmingly the delegates, ordinary Canadians, approved a policy resolution to create that GBI in Canada, including many MPs backing that, including myself, and it just shows you that support for this is really taking hold. There's further to go. We need to take concrete action. That's why I was really excited to see my colleague Julie Darowitz's bill C-273, a GBI bill tabled in the House. This was Canada's first ever legislation for proposing a guaranteed basic income. And I continue to work closely with Julie on this, but unfortunately that bill, it's called dying on the order paper. It didn't get to the House of Commons for a vote before the 2021 election. So we're now looking for other MPs to pick up where Julie left off and carry that on. And I must say I was very pleased to be a seconder of that bill. So it's no secret that right now is a time of great financial insecurity and uncertainty, but this is also the opportunity. This is when we can make our case most powerfully to rebuild our economy in a way that includes everyone and leaves no one behind, that upholds our social safety net in a way that answers to everybody's needs. Because that's, as the other speakers have said, that's what this is really all about. This is about helping people, giving people the help that they need when they need it. And this is how we can help people to build a better future for themselves and their families, to if they choose to get employed, to stay employed, to live fulfilling and happy lives. And it's certainly incumbent on all of us to help with that. So the last thing I want to say, that this is also an opportunity for collaboration among all political parties, among all orders of government. And we're seeing a good amount of really goodwill in the House of Commons right now between the left, the center and left-leaning parties, I would say. The dental care example is a really good example of that. And I continue to build strong friendships and strong relationships across the aisle so that I can help propel this forward. So thanks again for your time and for your advocacy. It makes a difference. Using your voice is what moves the needle. It really does. Change does come from the grassroots and from all of you. So thank you very much. Sign the petition, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
My list here is a little bit different from the list up there, so I didn't mean to be ignoring anybody at all. So let me now introduce the Progressive Conservative Youth Organization President, Scott Ellis. He and I only recently met, and realized how much we had in common. And he's got huge amounts of energy. He is very dedicated to basic income and to helping move the movement forward. So I look forward to working with him closely in the future. Scott?
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank Mandy for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you today. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's great to see so many people out to support a good cause. As Mandy mentioned, I'm currently the president of the Nova Scotia Young Progressive Conservatives. And in 2021, I was the PC candidate for Halifax Needham. In order to give some context to why I'm here speaking to you today, I should explain what it means to be a progressive conservative to me. I don't want you to mix me up with the federal conservatives. I will hold it against you. As a progressive conservative, I believe a government should be fiscally responsible while also being socially progressive. I believe in providing support for members of our society who, through no fault of their own, require assistance. I do believe in a smaller but more efficient government. I believe in a market-based economy, but I also believe in basic income. For many years, different social programs have been implemented to help those who are struggling in society. Despite the well-intentioned nature of these programs, they have not achieved the level of success and efficiency that is necessary. These programs, such as social assistance, are time-consuming and tedious to apply for. This places an unnecessary burden on those individuals who are already in need of support. During my campaign in Halifax Needham, I became aware of some of the shortfalls of our current social programs. I also learned the potential value of basic income and why it should be seriously considered and explored as part of the solution. By listening to real stories from community members, I realized that things do need to change. A single mom who works 3 jobs to afford rent and food while trying to provide a better life for her kids should not have to fill out countless applications. She should not have to wait months for the resources she needs to survive. She deserves dignity. A man who tragically experienced a brain injury after working his whole life in the trades, building up the society we have today, should not have to prove their struggle every single year. He deserves dignity. A nursing student who attends school and works full-time while living in poverty should be able to devote their sole focus on becoming a nurse. They should not have to sacrifice their basic needs in order to earn an education that will enable them to help the many Nova Scotians who depend on a nurse every single day. This is the very basic idea of basic income, giving dignity to those who deserve it. I believe our country is one which is built on big ideas, and now more than ever, we need big ideas to propel us forward. The world is changing, and we need to change with it. It is time for new ideas and a new approach. Basic income is a way forward. It's not left, it's not right, it's forward. This is one of the best ways to expand the middle class. It's one of the best ways to expand the middle class, grow the economy, spur entrepreneurship without increasing the size of government, and it doesn't even increase the burden on taxpayers. We can do this. It is in our reach. So let's keep the discussion going, and I look forward to working with anyone to make sure that this gets done. Thank you very much.
Oh, you took my hand. Thank you, Scott. Those are excellent remarks, and I just want to add to them by saying that yes, a basic income is necessary for everyone who needs it, and everyone who is living in poverty needs it. now have one last speaker giving welcoming remarks. Last but not least, certainly, Mike Kelloway is another strong supporter in Parliament of a basic income. And I want to call on him now. He's on Zoom. Mike? Hello?
Thanks, Mandy. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to be with you here on the first day of April, albeit virtually, and I trust we're all keeping our hopes high for spring despite the winter weather we've all been experiencing here in the Atlantic. I can tell you, I came home yesterday and to that 30 centimeters of snow, which was fantastic here in Sydney. We, unlike Jeff, I'm not a big fan of snow, so hopefully it goes soon. But I'll be keeping my remarks very brief and informal this morning. And I want to say thank you to Mandy. Mandy and I have had really important conversations over the last number of years and with the organizations in the room and virtually. Fundamentally, folks, I'm profoundly interested in ways that we can make our country a better place to live for everyone who call it home. Ensuring Canadians keep food on the table and roof over their heads is absolutely important to me. The reality is, no matter how we choose to go about protecting vulnerable populations, individuals, families, and communities in Canada, we need to keep it a number one top tier priority. In other words, we must continue our work to eradicating poverty and creating opportunities for Canadians. And I believe in my heart, with my mind, and everything that I've seen on paper, and all the debates that I've had back and forth with different people in Ottawa, locally, provincially, and nationally, the basic income does just that. Now, all of you are here in person, virtually, because you care. You care about your community. You care about your neighbor. You care about the generations to come. I'm not only humbled, to be here. I really do get a sense that Canadians are wanting to know more about basic income. Not just parliamentarians and not just people in the provincial legislature or municipal governments. People are asking me questions about basic income. And as Mayor Savage mentioned in his opening remarks, we have templates here. We see, basic income emerge in one form or another during COVID. We can do this. We can do this together. We can do this working within the government, yes, but reaching across party lines, as MP Fillmore mentioned. That's important. We need to sit down with business. We need to sit down with chambers of commerce and go through line by line, reality and myth. And you know what the myths are. This is going to cost government too much money. People should just pull themselves up by the bootstraps. We have the existing measures in place. I really believe this. And it's something my father passed on to me. So my dad here in Cape Breton for years was in mine rescue, in charge of mine rescue for the Cape Breton mines. When Westray happened, he was one of the first people to be called from a mine rescue perspective. And he would always say, and my dad didn't have a PhD, my dad didn't have a master's degree, but my dad had an incredible amount of common sense and incredible amount of self-awareness. And he would always say this. He would say, crisis reveals character. And across the world, not just in Canada, we have several crises. A housing crisis is one, but there are many more. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? And basic income is a pathway. It's an opportunity. It's a program that can help people now and into the future. And I'll say this before I conclude, because I know you want to get to some really important discussions. Don't let anybody tell you outside this room, where you are virtually, that we can't do this. We can do this. And it's taking a while to get there, but we have leadership. We have leadership in that room. We have leadership on this call. We have leadership in government. We have leadership in the provincial side of things. Municipally, you've heard Mike Savage talk about, and Waye Mason and what they're doing. But we need a coordinated effort. We need to keep our eye on the prize, and we need to be focused on getting this done. So what you have in me and what you have with all elected politicians is a commitment to keep working on this. But we need your continued leadership, because we know you're the engine that's going to make this happen. And it's an honor to be here, Mandy. I will have to go, but I'm looking forward to continuing to working with you folks, because this can be accomplished. And quite frankly, in my heart of hearts, it will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. I look forward to working with you and getting this done. Okay, so we need to move on. I wanted to recognize our sponsors. We have a lot of them. I want to call out Tamarack Institute for its support in the Zoom call today. I want to call out the library here and Eltwick Art Center in Sydney for providing the in-person environment for us to meet, and for all of the wonderful AV and setup and breakdown support that they're providing. I want to thank Waye Mason, Mayor Savage, Andy Fillmore for the support they've provided, Dalhousie University for the big support it's provided this year and in previous years, and the community health boards that have provided the foundational support for us today. So, and other people. Java Blend donated all of our coffee and tea. So thank you to everybody. I was going to talk about the basic income we want, but perhaps I might be able to fit this in at the end. What I've recognized over time is that it's really of critical importance to say what it is that we believe in and what we're fighting for. And so I'll just mention that the basic income we are fighting for, that we advocate for, is a regular payment made to people who need it, distributed with minimal bureaucracy or intrusiveness. And these are the principles that many organizations, both provincially and nationally, embrace in terms of advocating for a basic income. It's not for everyone, it's not UBI, it's for those who need it. So it is income tested only. It doesn't replace social services and supports that are necessary, it complements them. It's not means tested. There's no intrusive, onerous, demeaning, stigmatizing requirements or conditions. And the same benefit is not for everyone. The maximum benefit is provided to people who have no other earned income. And it gradually reduces, which is an incentive for work, as earned income increases. So we have a petition to sign over there, and I wanted to quickly read this statement from Coalition Canada about the PEI project. The people and provincial political parties in PEI have expressed their interest and support in having a federal provincial basic income demonstration project in PEI. In order to help achieve this goal, a 20-person team led by representatives from Coalition Canada Basic Income and comprised of economists, federal and provincial members of parliament, federal and provincial public servants, and basic income advocates came together to work on the details of how this demonstration project could work. Issues of cost, financing, labor market effects, and more were all taken into consideration. This work and the ensuing report are very unique. The work reflects the many details and principles which need to be taken into consideration in order to develop a responsible basic income proposal that can be applied province-wide in PEI. The work represents, as one politician has noted, the realm of the possible. And we have, as I said, a petition that Andy and Mike Kelloway will be able to bring to governments and other MPs. Please sign it. This is the schedule for today. And very belatedly,